What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Cap. No bullshit, just conversations about passions, philosophies, and perspectives. So it's your boy Gravity the Beast. You already know what it is. Got the homies with me. Go ahead.
Yep. It's Twan, neighborhood real nigga. We always out here.
Facts.
It's your boy G, your mother's boyfriend.
You already know your mother's boyfriend. So today's episode is going to be interesting. So y'all already know that by this point, a lot of the pods we've been doing recently have been like low-key reactions to different things, but especially like The Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi.
This book here, man.
Yeah. Like I would say it's life-changing. Like every man should read this book.
Mm-hmm.
But today's part that we addressed is part of the unplugging chapter, but it focuses on the dream killer, right? So the way I interpret the dream killer, before we break this down and get into our different opinions, I interpret it to mean that most people have different ideas of what a successful relationship is, what the goal of interacting with the opposite sex is. Some might just want to have sex, you know, they just want sexual relations and keep it simple at that. Mm-hmm. Some people believe in like the happily ever after and like the long-term relationships that are just perfect and you find the one for you. And we touched on that for the most part with one-itis. But I feel like the big problem is like where you have guys that might understand the truth, understand what it means to be unplugged. And as soon as they get an opportunity to be in a relationship, to be in an LTR, to get into whatever they do, they kind of
long-term relationship.
Right, yeah. LTR, long-term relationship. They revert back into being more blue. Let's put it like that. They revert and they step outside of their frame and then they get comfortable and they feel some semblance of happiness within their dynamic. But then it leads them to do other things. It leads them to revert in different ways that long-term makes you less attractive to your partner and is very detrimental. So, like, when I first heard about the dream killer, it was like, damn, that shit really hit me. It's like, I've always grown up with the idea of wanting to find a girl who I could be with and we could have a great long-term relationship and she's just going to love me for me and everything's going to be cool. And like they always say, oh yeah, there's compromise here and compromise there and this and that, where to hear somebody say, well, look, focus on you, build yourself up, build it, they will come. You know, don't be monogamous until you're 35. All that, it really stings when you first hear it. And as you let it sink in, it could really enlighten you a bit. So what's y'all thoughts, Twan? And then, or you want to start?
Let's start with the guest here, man.
All right, let's go.
I feel like I'm one of those people that just want sexual relations for right now. I do agree with most of what he said, but some niggas just don't, or they just don't want that. Like, what if some niggas actually do find a perfect girl? Like,
what's a perfect girl?
Well, the perfect girl for them at like
what is
high
the perfect
school.
Girl? What is
for
perfect?
them?
But
like,
when you say perfect, it means
like, what if like everybody has their own criteria of what they want in a woman?
Yeah.
So what if like you find that young?
She checks off all the boxes.
Yeah, checks off all the boxes, and you find that young.
But all right, so I feel you. So is she perfect because she checks off?
Well, I don't
want
to say perfect, but she checks all your boxes.
But let's just hypothetically, like, similar to the way you just said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you find her, just that girl,
mm-hmm.
is she perfect because she checks off all the boxes, or is she perfect because she's the only one who can check off all the boxes?
She's perfect because she checks all the boxes off.
So it doesn't. Well, all right. So I'll let you continue. I just wanted to establish that because I feel like to say perfect in my head implies that she's the only one who can do that, opposed to just being a great candidate.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I do agree with most of what you said because now I'm realizing that when you tell females that you're in talks with other females, they don't leave.
Yeah.
They tend to fight harder.
They compete.
So, I mean, like,
women would rather share a high-value man than to settle down with a faithful bum ass beta blue.
Well, why he gotta be a bum
no,
ass?
no, yeah, I wouldn't even take it that far. I would say women would rather, on average, share a high value man than to settle for an average man. Not even a bum, just average. It's like I feel like that's
Okay.
one of the biggest issues.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
but continue.
That's all I got for now. But like, what if I don't know?
Well, okay. So let me
Right.
let me ask you this, right? So let's say you find the girl who you feel checks off all the boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would change within you and how you interact with that person once you decide she is quote unquote perfect for you?
Me, nothing, because I already told her what it's going to be. I don't know. I can't.
Well, all right. I
explain
think I got an idea of what you mean, but I'm not necessarily talking as far as because we already had that prior episode, plate theory. Right? So we discussed that. So outside of your ideas of monogamy and relationships, right? As far as you finding the girl who you might feel checks off all your boxes, what changes within you? How does she affect you? How does your interaction with her differ once you realize she checks off all the boxes?
I think she just becomes more on your care level, if that's a thing.
You care more.
Yeah, I think that's just what it is. Like niggas care about their family, their mother.
Right.
She just gradually
Rise up in the ranks.
rise up in the ranks when you find that. I think that's all it is.
Okay. Twan?
The main thing that I got from this section of Dream Killers is priorities.
Yeah.
It because he said, women should never be the focus of your life. Only in addition to it. You have to build yourself up. Because a lot of the times, niggas will get in these relationships and they'll focus everything on a woman. And now everything they wanted to do in life is chalked. I gotta support this family that I got, or my girl wants to go to this college, so I'm gonna go to this college, even though they don't really have the best program for my major type shit. It's like you just derailed your whole everything you want to do in life for some consistent pussy,
Right.
and that's not the wave. Because if you were to focus on yourself, like be ambitious, what do you say? Ambitious, passionate. Women will flock to you because they naturally are attracted to those characteristics. So it's like you're going to get women anyway by just doing what you want. So focusing on yourself. So just focus on yourself. That's why they're dream killers.
But what if I want to split my focus?
Well, you could choose to do that, but that just means you're less likely to accomplish your goals. So what is more important?
It's a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
definitely a lot harder. But I feel like the real thing to focus on within this is to understand that on one level, right, we've been taught throughout our lives that, you find that magical Mr. or Mrs. Right, right? Will we get these ideas from movies and media, from lots of different things? We see people get to know each other. We see a relationship come out of a friendship. We see love at first sight. We see Romeo and Juliet, and
I don't believe in that.
neither do I. And we established that in a different episode. So the whole point being, right, and I said this just in case, like, just to remind you, I said I do not believe in unconditional romantic love. And I stand on that. I believe that the only unconditional love in this world is between family. Now, that's not to say blood, but family. As in, I could have a friend that I've known since childhood, or even if you met them at the age of 20, if you're 40 and you have a 20-year friendship, you can have unconditional love and look at that person as family. Whereas between men and women, not family, a lot of the times those friendships are not platonic in base. And when they are, they still operate a little bit differently. But you could still have that. You could still have unconditional love, but romantic love. Romantic love, I differentiate because I feel like it's very important to differentiate. It's important to understand that when you're attracted to somebody romantically, it's because they fit certain criteria. And when somebody's attracted to you romantically, it's because you fit certain criteria. And to believe that that love will stay as the criteria that you rose to disappear, if you filled 5 boxes and you got the attraction and then those boxes start to empty because you no longer fill them and you think that person will stay, that's delusional. That's where, like, when we talk about unconditional, forever lasting, romantic love, I don't believe in that. If you are fit, intelligent, rich, you know, you got status, all these different things, well, that's cool. You'll probably get somebody to like you, right? But then if you get injured, now you can't work, or you get injured and now you have mental issues, you're less intelligent, your status gets lowered because of whatever, your money dwindles because of whatever, you get unhealthy, so now you're less attractive. I do not believe that that person is going to stay with you simply because they love you. Because love can break into different sections. Whereas,
so you believe
it's
two different loves?
I believe it's multiple different types of love.
Multiple.
You can love your pet. You can love your teacher. You can love your mother. You can love your brother. You can love your girlfriend. You can love your car. It's tons of different types of love. You can love an author. You can love a particular book, a show. You can love food. It's tons of different types of love. That's why I specify and say romantic love. And I specify this not conditional. Like me, I love Chinese food. Americanized Chinese food. I'll specify. I would like to try more authentic stuff, but I'm from New York. Grew up on Chinese food. Grew up on pizza, beef patties, chicken wings, and French fries.
Yes, sir.
Love that shit. That being said, I mean, am I going to die over that shit? No. It's a different type of love, you know? Whereas I love my grandmother.
You'll die.
I'll jump in front of a bullet. I'll fight, kill for my grandmother. Love her to death.
I feel you.
That's not romantic love. That's her. You know, that's a different type of love. I love my little brother. The same shit I said for my grandmother, I'll probably do for him. But it's also different than the love I have for my grandmother. If I have a significant other, if I have a wife, I will love my wife, but that's a different type of love. It doesn't stop the love. And a lot of the times, like, when you hear, like, oh, I still love you, but I'm not in love with you.
So is there different types of unconditional love?
I would say unconditional love is unconditional love.
Okay, it's the same thing.
It's like, but when I say romantic, unconditional romantic love, I don't believe in it. Now, a lot of the times when people, and I feel like this dream killer segment of this chapter kind of influenced that because it made me analyze things a lot differently. You got to ask yourself, okay, in any relationship I've ever been in, have I ever been in love? What does that mean? I've had people tell me I was in love before. And then I let that influence me when I was really younger. I had a crush when I was younger. I'll say probably like 9th grade. And I went through a lot of emotional bullshit just off of my feelings for this girl. Had no experience, had no game, had no way to actually proceed in trying to mess with her. That didn't stop me from attempting, but when I got turned down, so to speak, I felt hurt and I was disappointed, and it was a lot of different things. Now, as I moved forward from that, I had another friend of mine when I was venting. This is a female friend, but she told me, like, yo, you was in love with this girl and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I wasn't, and blah, blah, blah. But then as we're talking, I'm like, well, was I? I don't know. What does that mean? How does it feel? And for a while, I was convinced that, hey, maybe I was. And maybe that was the first time I ever felt that and blah, blah, blah. But then as I got older, I'm like, well, no. It's like I didn't know anything about this girl, really. Didn't have good conversation skills at the time. Didn't have no game. There wasn't no real, like, one-on-one personal physical connection. There was none of that. It was an infatuation that I had with a girl based on what I believed her to be.
So do you think you was ever in love with someone?
No. At this point, no.
Never.
It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to lie and say that I haven't said that I loved a girl before. I mean,
That's different.
It is. I mean, it's like, first girlfriend I ever had, I said it, but
Cap.
I didn't mean it. You know,
Yeah, he was
I
capping.
didn't mean it. And then from that point forward, I told myself I would never tell a girl I loved her if I didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And the most recent time I told a girl I loved her, at the time I thought I meant it. I was kind of confused.
Mm-hmm.
And now I realize, like, I feel like love is more like a faith, you know? Love, like, and this actually, we haven't gotten to this book yet, but, like, in that pod I told you to watch, they actually addressed this in The Rational Male Religion, where they said, love is the new God. So in the same way people say you got to have faith, like when they talk about God or religion or whatever, and then, like, well, I don't remember what particular pod it was. I feel like we've addressed it, though, at some point where it's like the term blind faith is kind of a double, where faith in its definition implies being blind. It's like to believe without having anything to back it up, just believing.
Mm-hmm.
So to have blind faith is like, it's like a double. Like, you don't need to say blind because faith in itself is blind. Where people talk about love, it's almost like they have the same faith and love that they do God.
Okay.
Whereas they get a certain feeling and they're like, well, I have faith in this person. I like how they make me feel. I have faith that they're going to keep making me feel this way. I have faith that the things that I want from them will be fulfilled by them. And I have faith that I can maintain that within them. It's not a real thing. It's just faith. And if you choose wisely, you know, if you're able to pick your right partners and go about it the right way, then of course you can have love. But it all depends on the type of love that you really are looking for. Now, dream killer aspect wise, most dudes want that, like, yeah, she gonna be mine in sickness and health. It's like, it's even to the point where when we have wedding vows, or, you know how they say, do you take this person to be your lawfully wedded wife in sickness and health and richer and poorer and all this shit? Like, that honestly is bullshit to me now.
Yeah, I don't want no wedding. I
got problems with a wedding.
I do the ceremony, but, like, I'm not putting my name on paper. I'm not putting my name on papers.
Cohabitation agreement.
Yeah.
That's what we call that. But what's your thoughts, Twan? I know I've been going for a sec.
When it comes to, like, love, I view love differently, but I don't really go back into the love thing. Yeah. Well, as far as the dream killer aspect, it sounds fucked up. It does on the surface level. But at the end of the day, if you focus on yourself, both parties are going to end up happy anyway. It's like that one itis with the...
Continue. I will argue a part of that.
What would you argue?
I'm arguing for my queens, but go ahead.
No, because it's like if you focus on yourself and you are doing everything you need to do, you'll naturally attract women. Women want to be attached to that. So therefore, you become what women want by doing you and being ambitious and following your dreams anyway.
Right.
That's why I said it's like almost mutually beneficial to a point.
See, and I agree with most of what you said. The only part is like where you say if you focus on yourself, it'll be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
I feel like if a man focuses on himself, it'll be beneficial to him and his family. If a woman focuses on herself, it'll be beneficial to her short-term success.
And that's what I meant. I was talking about from the man's perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking.
It can't be long-term?
What, for a woman?
Yeah. It can't be for her family?
Well, see, the thing is, women don't own families. Men do.
Yeah.
No. See, and I don't get me wrong, right? You're black, I'm black, you're black. One of the big problems in the black community is over the last 50 or so years, women have been in charge of the families. Women have been in charge of the households. Women have been the leaders. That's a problem. This is why we are where we are. This is why we are looked at a certain way. This is why hoods are the way hoods are. This is why we have a bunch of emotional ass men, because women are the forefront of the family. That is a problem. Men and women are both needed for a successful family. Men lead. Women support and get supported. when we have women focusing on themselves, that's cool short term. You know, let's say you got a beautiful woman.
Mm-hmm.
You got a beautiful woman. She's smart. She's intelligent. Everything's cool. She goes to school. She's focusing on herself. She want to get a job. She want to make a money. I mean, she wants to get a job and make some good money. Cool. She's attractive, so she got dudes coming at her. So, you know, she entertains it. Maybe she gets some dates here. She just gets some dick when she's horny, whatever. Cool, right? All good. She gets her job. She's focusing on her. At some point in time, she's more than likely, statistically, going to want a family. Not all women, but most. Going to want a family, going to want some children, want a husband. The time she spent focusing on herself goes against her natural instinct to want a family. She's always had that. Maybe when she was a little girl, she probably said, yeah, I'm going to be a mommy one day. As she gets older, she's convinced that she has more time to do it. She's like, yeah, maybe society convinces her that men are not going to be able to support her. So she feels more inclined to focus on her, do her own thing. Whole time, she knows she wants a family.
Mm-hmm.
She knows she wants a husband one day. But she's not focusing on that. She's focusing on her. Society convinced her that she can't trust in the man, even though one day she wants to find a man she can trust. That contradiction there. So, okay, time goes on and on and on. Focus on you. Then, one day, you want to find a man and you want to find somebody who can provide you with children. Some even go as far as to just go to a sperm bank and just have children by themselves. They feel like they can support themselves and they're unfulfilled. The man focuses on himself. A man can wake up, a man can be born, go through life, become a successful business owner, never have a relationship, never have a wife, and still be fulfilled in his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to find our purpose. We have to become first. Whereas the purpose of a woman, for the most part, I'm not trying to generalize too extremely, but the purpose of a woman is understood. You know, we have certain roles based on how we are. Men are more likely to be violent, more likely to be ambitious, more likely to be creative in different ways, ingenuitive in certain ways. Women are more nurturing. They're more people pleasing. They're more people.
Yeah, but it's
persons.
like shit changed now. Like,
well, no,
it's not
maybe
like
maybe.
that
Well, biologically, no. That's where the issue comes from, because we always talk about how technology has evolved and, you know, society has changed and we can do different things. We don't have to stick to these roles, whereas we still are who we are. It's like 200 years is not enough for evolution to become prominent biologically. So we talk about how much society has changed without understanding our natures physically, biologically, chemically. You know, when we understand that to this day, no matter how well law enforcement is, no matter how well these jobs are that women are able to get, no matter how much money they can make, there are still physiological differences between men and women, what drives us and what fulfills us. And that right there needs to be focused on. If a man focuses on himself, he's going to become the best he can be. And just off of that, he's going to attract more women. A man can focus on himself and still get pussy. A woman can focus on herself and get dick until. That's the difference, right? A man focus on himself, get success, prominence, status. He can get pussy till he die.
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Hefner was getting pussy until his 80s.
We haven't got the full details on what he was doing in that mansion, but
I mean, yeah, but I mean, look, Hugh Hefner died before certain movements came out. We don't got to specify the movements.
Yes, sir.
But I still give him props because he was part of like the early civil rights shit. Like he was helping. He put black women on the magazines and in the clubs, and he was cool. Now he was like friends with Cosby. That's a whole nother situation. But I'm gonna let Hugh Hef rest in peace. I'll fuck with Hef. So, but the point of that being, he was able to get some until he died.
Mm-hmm.
The best of the best, young, middle, whatever. He was able to get it till he died. There's not a lot of women in that same predicament able to get that same thing, and that's not because of any particular, let's say, stigmas in a negative sense. It's more so based on nature. Whereas women are different than men.
Yeah, I feel like it comes down to is like men are, on average, can find fulfillment in just being successful.
For sure. Yeah.
As opposed to where most women, they find fulfillment in their family.
Right.
So it's like, if you want a family, you should focus on getting with a man first for women, as opposed to focusing on yourself. Because it's like you're backtracking. Because you take all this time to get successful, and niggas don't give a fuck. And now your clock is ticking. You've lost value at this point. So it's like you're trying to find a family when your value is waning, instead of trying to find a family when your value is at its highest, at its peak.
You trying to buy a house while you got holes in your pockets.
Yes.
Money is spilling out as you try to buy more expensive houses. It's like, that's. Oh, my bad. Go.
No, you good. You good.
I just thought of a funny analogy. It's kind of funny where it's like how we've talked about like the value and being born and all this. So imagine we say women are born with $200,000 in their pocket. From the moment they're born, they're around a bunch of cribs, right? Around a bunch of cribs. You see some for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. You get older and you're approached by different cribs based on the fact that you got $200,000 in your pocket. Now, maybe the more men you get with for long periods of time, you putting money into them. So that $200,000 is going away. But let's say you're still young enough, you could recoup that. Get back to your 200. Keep going, keep moving, looking for houses. But the older you get, there's a rip in your jeans.
Yeah, you've been walking with this $200,000 your whole life.
Yeah, it's a rip in your jeans. Over time, the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So now you keep moving around like you got this $200,000, but money is falling out your pocket. You keep moving. You like, oh, I don't like that house. I don't like this house. You go in there, you stay in the house for a few months. You might pay some rent. That $100,000 turn into $180,000. You like, I don't like this house. You keep moving. The whole time you acting like you got this $200,000 still. Older you get, that hole get bigger. You spent $180,000. You acting like you got $2,000, but you just lost another $30,000. So really, you got $150,000. You acting like you got $200,000. Moving. Hole gets bigger, bigger, bigger. You have less and less to spend. And then eventually you see that $350,000 house that's beautiful and you got it and you reach into your pocket and all you got is $100,000 left, but you act like it's $200,000 still. And then you mad that you can't afford it. And you like, why can't you pay why can't I get it for $200,000? Oh, you not even worth $200,000. You not worth $350,000. Here, take my $200,000. That's really $100,000. Like, it's kind of like a certain level of delusion of value. You know what I mean? Not understanding how you lose value, not understanding the value that you currently have, not understanding the value of the things you want, and how to balance that out to be at peace. Let's put it like that. Whereas I feel like men are born with empty pockets but strong ass jeans. The only money you get is what you earn.
Yeah.
But the older you get, the stronger your pockets get.
Fucking Wrangler.
Yeah. I mean, it's like all you have is what you earn. But the older you get, the better you can protect your pockets. On average. You can't say you got a bunch of dumbass old niggas.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this for niggas who got to earn their bread, not for niggas who inherit shit. But the point being, right, as you get older, you start to earn more and more and more and more and more and more and more to where you can get that $350,000 house. Flip side, right? You can get it. You done earned, and there's no shortcuts. You know what I mean? There's no shortcuts. For men, there's no shortcuts. The only shortcut may be natural genetics, and at that point, it's not a shortcut. It's a blessing.
For sure.
A nigga who's born attractive, he didn't have to cut no corners. He was just lucky. He was blessed. Don't hate. Get better. It's like, yo, it just is what it is. If a nigga is born attractive, if a nigga was lucky enough to have a good family structure in his household and he was raised right, that's dope. I'm not even going to go as far. Like, I would say nowadays that's more lucky based on how we see certain, like, structures and households now. But hopefully we can make that the norm again. So cool. You were born attractive. That's luck, right? You had good lessons taught to you as a child. That's cool. Everything's good there. At that point, financially, socially, how you build, how you're respected, all these things have to be earned and maintained.
Yeah.
So we don't really look at things the same way as far as like how we value one another.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to go along my life and I find a person who's attractive, she does what I feel like is necessary to be in a relationship with me, things that I value within a relationship, right? Well, if things don't work out with her and me, the odds are, if I continue to better myself, I can find someone willing to do the same or somebody who's willing to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Flip the scenario. As a woman, if she finds a guy who's willing to do certain things that she likes and one day he decides not to, or maybe she's not holding up her end of the bargain and he decides to leave her or whatever, right? As she gets older, her chances of finding the same, better, her chances of finding the same diminish. It's just two different things. So we are, on average, not told that type of stuff. We're not able to understand that type of stuff. So we grow up thinking everything's the same, everything's equal, everything's unconditional. Find love, find a wife, find this person and do this and do that. Where realistically that it doesn't matter. You can find a person who checks off all the boxes on your list. That's dope. So if you feel like, yeah, she checks off all the boxes, so I want to make sure I stay in a relationship with her, I want to make her happy, I want to do da. That can fuck you up. I'm not saying don't keep your girl happy. I'm saying understand that in a relationship, all you have is your requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And your affection, love, care should only be delivered based on how your requirements are delivered.
Do you think people's requirements can change?
They can. They probably will. And that needs to be understood and adjusted for. If you're with a girl or if a girl's with you, whatever, right? She requires something of you. You require something of her. If you're not willing to supply what she requires, and if she's not willing to supply what you require, that needs to be addressed. That's up to the individual. You're going to decide how important that is if you're willing to deal with it. She's going to decide how important that is if she's willing to deal with it. The difference is, if you don't want to deal with that, your chances of finding better are higher than hers. On average, women are going to have to deal with more shit they don't like than men.
Factory.
Women are going to have to deal with more shit they don't like than men. The problem is men don't understand that. So in this day and age, I would argue men deal with more shit they don't like than women. But on the natural side, women are the ones who have to deal with more shit they don't like.
That's crazy.
Why?
Because it's true.
Well, no, but
Can't defend that.
But why is it crazy though?
I don't know, man.
You got to wrap his head around it. It's facts.
Yeah, it's just like when you break it down like that, it's just like, what the fuck? Like,
Right?
I don't know, man.
Oh,
it's
that's
just
like,
When you get to like the dream, like if you're in a dream killer scenario, to go off your analogy, it's like you as a man putting your value into the pockets of a woman with ripped jeans. That's what you're doing. And then it's like when you get 30, 40, you realize it. It's like, yeah, I'm with this girl. She has holy ass jeans. And I just been losing all this bread and my Jones are still strong.
So do you believe that all women are, or all men and all women are designed the same? Well, all men are designed the same and all women are designed the same?
To a point.
Yeah, on the most deepest base of biological function, yes.
Okay.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you are what you are. It's like, you could, every house in this neighborhood, for the most part, looks the same on the outside. Now, for the most part, they're also the same size, arguably.
I'm good.
And we could look at the different houses and say, okay, well, they're all equal for the most part. Until you walk in and then you see, well, hey, some of them don't have a garage. Some of them have bigger basements. But then we get deeper, right? And then we start to see, well, hey, all of them have this base foundation. Maybe not all of them are exactly the same, but they all share certain characteristics that are exactly the same.
Roof,
Maybe
front door.
even that, but I would say like maybe this person has the same length of wood, same thickness, but this one was a little bit older, drier, might not be as strong, or this one was a little bit wet. You might have more mold here, but the way we are made is the same.
Okay.
Like when the sperm go into the egg and then grows into a fetus, comes out as a baby, we're exactly the same. One might have been premature, one might have lasted longer, one might be bigger, one might be smaller. It's all based on choices that we have, but we are all the same, even though one might be black, one might be white. It's all explained and understood, and within the particular categories, we're all the same, even though we share differences.
Like how humans are humans. It's like we're all fucking human beings, but we're different in a lot of aspects. But when you come down to it, we're the same species.
Right.
That's what it is. Men are men and women are women.
Mm-hmm.
Not all women are the same, but at the end of the day, they're women.
That's facts.
Like how men are men.
Big facts, bro. And within that, or did you want to continue before I go?
Now you good.
So within that, right, it's the understanding of what your dreams are. Like, I forget what, I don't think it was the Dream Killer exactly, but we had this discussion when we first like listened to the book the first time, right? I had said there was a point in the book where I had heard some shit and I almost cried. And the reason
9 Iron Rules.
That was the 9 Iron Rules. Okay. The reason I almost cried when I was listening to this book was because all my life I had certain understandings, right, of what right and wrong was, what love was, what the goal was long term as far as relationships and all these different things. I had certain ideas in my mind about what was success. And then as I start to understand more about how men are, how women are, as I start to understand more about how my natural instincts have been deterred based on what I've been influenced by, it made me reflect. And the deeper I reflect, the more I see where I've been lied to, the more I see how I truly feel. I have to ask myself certain questions and be like, yo, what do I really think about this? Because I know I've always been told this is wrong, but if I actually had to go through it, how would I take it? You know, as I go through that, I'm just like, well, shit, like, fuck, I get it. And then, like, even, like, being told certain things about women, you have to really think about your experiences with women. You have to speak to women. You got to look at statistics and data, which a lot of the time women don't like to talk about because everything is so micro to them opposed to the macro. So when we really get into it, it's like, well, fuck. I mean, the things that I was taught really aren't true. And you might feel that way at first, and then you look into why it's not true. And then you might get a little angry when you look into why you were told not to believe that in the first place. It's so many levels to it, right? Now, I would say, in my opinion, the dream is find a perfect woman, take care of her, build your family, take care of your family, have fun, you know, be the best dad you could be, best husband you could be. Like, when we say happy wife, happy life, that's bullshit. But we say that type of shit. Where realistically, it's not that. Like, we've always been told to focus on shit that takes us away from our purpose, opposed to understanding that your purpose brings all the things you want in your life.
That is kind of true, though.
What?
Happy wife, happy life.
Nah.
Yes, it is.
No, the reason I say no is because if your wife ain't happy, she shouldn't be with you. And if your wife said yes, it's because she's happy with you. So if you're trying to make her happy to keep her, you're fucking up. She should be making you happy so you keep her.
So you don't have to make her happy.
No, what I'm saying is if she said yes, it's because you being you make her happy.
Yeah, but you're not going to make her happy all the time.
Well, that's not the point. The point is...
That's nobody, though.
The point, and I would agree with that, but the point is, right, you being you is going to attract certain type of women. If you being you doesn't attract certain type of women, that shows you your level. You move through life, you adjust. you understand how to better yourself, or even if you don't focus on yourself, even if you just focus on how to get women, you building your skills in dealing with women is going to attract women. If a woman is attracted to you, it's because she sees something that entertains her, that makes her feel good, that makes her want you. If a woman wants you and she has you, she's happy. If a woman doesn't want you and she doesn't have you and she wants, or if a woman doesn't want you and she doesn't have you, she don't give a fuck about you. So when we understand like, hey, happy wife, happy life, I feel like most of that is bullshit. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to become the best I can be. I have certain long-term goals. If a woman is able to help me with my long-term goals, then we can talk about long-term relationships. If a woman does nothing to help me with my long-term goals, then more than likely she's a sexual object until she proves otherwise. I mean, and that just is what it is. Like, some people might look at that as fucked up, but it's really not, because why would a woman go after a man? It's because he's attractive, maybe he's confident, maybe she sees that other guys look up to him, maybe she sees other girls want to fuck with him. So she's like, oh, he's a high-level guy. I want to mess with him. Mm-hmm. That's why she wants you. Not because you're funny, not because of your personality, not because of the things you're interested in, not because of the things you're passionate about.
Some girls don't want that.
Don't want what?
Like, they don't even look for that. Like,
look for what?
Because you said, like, if they, the dude that niggas look up to, or like the girl, the nigga that girls already want, or something like. Yeah. Like, some girls don't even want that.
Like who? I mean, well, let me.
I don't want to classify, but
you don't got to classify.
Like the nerd girls don't even like that.
Why? What would lead you to that belief?
Because nerd. I don't want to classify, but nerd girls usually go for the nerd boys, nerd niggas.
No. See, and me, I could say no because I grew up as a nerd. Mm-hmm. Like Japanese class, all 4 years of high school. You feel me? Computer science as a backup. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Like shit like that. Like, I grew up around the nerds, and I know for a fact, nerd girls go after nerd guys. You want to know why?
Why?
Because they don't hang out with nobody else. That honestly is what it really comes down to. Like real shit, the realest shit ever, right? There are certain stigmas that come from it, right? So let's say you're in your nerd quote unquote group, mm-hmm. right? Most nerds, and I'm speaking, like, I'm not using this term derogatorily. Like, mm-hmm. I'm speaking from a person who is in a wide range for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I had certain friends that was fucking doing their trapping shit. I had certain friends that might have did their sports shit. I had certain friends that was into rapping, and I had my friends that was into anime, and we was in Japanese class together, like different groups, right? So within watching these different groups, you start to see a lot of the nerdy people, not just women, people, they stick to each other. You know, you go into Japanese class. Like, I remember I had math class my freshman year. I met one dude, he was cool. He went to Japanese club. I was already into that type of shit, but he told me, I was like, oh, Japanese club? You go to Japanese club, you see different people there. Mm-hmm. They congregate. Then you actually take the Japanese class and you see similar people, and you're like, oh. Then you watch these different people and see who they hang out with for the most part. And this was like me too, to a certain point, like at certain ages, where if I go into a new class and I don't see nobody that's like on my type wave, I would just be to myself until I got to know certain people. And, you know, like outside of school, you start meeting a lot of people. As soon as you start smoking weed, your world opened up and you just meet like a ton of people. But the whole point was you start to see a lot of these nerdy girls fuck with nerdy dudes. Why? Because all they talk to is nerdy people, and there's a certain there's a certain level of feeling like the higher level dudes won't fuck with them. And most of the time they won't, because a lot of these nerdy people, nerdy girls, whatever, so to speak, they don't dress a certain way, they don't act a certain way, they don't have certain energy. Women, period. Nerd, athlete, mathlete, don't matter. They're going to go after the best they can attain. Psychologically, you might hold yourself back thinking you can't attain something because of certain personal preferences. You might got a guy that's attractive, but he's a nerd, and he feel like he can't get a bad bitch because he's a nerd. Where it's like, nah, your looks get you in the door. All you got to do is learn how to talk. we don't want to grow those skills a lot of the time. And then even for women, it's more different because they are the ones that are attained. They're not the attainer most of the time. So women say yes to the men who come after them. When you see the nerd girl with a nerd guy, it's not because she went after the nerd guy. It's that the nerd guy was the highest level dude in her nerd group. He went after her. So now the nerd woman is with a nerd guy. It's not because she wouldn't have said yes to the football guy. It's because she thought the football guy would never look at her. And that's what it really comes down to.
Even if, like, you got a joint and she tries to explain all the reasons, like how to bag her type shit.
Mm-hmm.
What a nigga needs to do, he got to do all this, be all this special shit. 9 times out of 10, that is not the nigga she's fucking.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the 9 times out of 10, women say what they want, but
it's something else. Yeah.
It is always something else.
Sure.
It's a reason why they fucked the bad boy ass nigga with the good talk game, the confidence. It's a reason for that. They can say all these political correct shit, but at the end of the day, it don't match on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I agree with that, but it's like, I don't know, cause I don't come at bitches.
Stop lying.
I don't.
Cap.
I don't.
Capuchin.
Cap of America.
Steve Bucky Wilson.
I don't come at bitches. Never have.
You're lying.
Never have. All the girlfriends I had, all the bitches I fucked, I never came at them.